I wanted to keep slavery contained in the South and let it die a natural death. Others wanted it to spread out west into the new territories. That was the sticking point.
152 years after America's bloodiest war, and we still can't see eye to eye.
We're looking to erase history to change it, and you can't change it. It actually happened.
William Wood Coe is named after his ancestor, who was a sergeant in the Confederate Army.
Why did he join to fight for the Confederacy?
Because he was a North Carolinian, and North Carolina was invaded by the Federal Army.
Coe, one of many reenactors participating in Fairfax Civil War Day, is angry about the movement underway to remove Confederate statues and names from public places.
The statue is signifying a part of history of this country. Whether you agree with it and what the side fought for, or whether you disagree with it.
There have been protests over the decision to remove the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee from a Charlottesville park. The general's reenactor says people don't know the full story.
Robert E. Lee did more single-handedly to unite these United States after the war was over than anybody else. Where do they stop? Do they continue until they take down monuments dedicated to the people of the American Revolution?
But on the Union side, among the reenactors of the United States colored troops, there's a different sentiment about those Confederate hero statues and names.
That's a symbol of oppression, a symbol of a period of time that discounted me as a human being. The symbol should not be in a place where I have to interact with it on a regular basis.
You can't miss the huge statue of the Confederate soldier in the middle of Washington Street in the city of Alexandria.
I think it's a symbol of people who died in a struggle.
But it's a shock to some northern transplants.
If you lived in Germany, would you have a Nazi soldier statue? It's got to go.
Alexandria's city council recently voted to remove it.
If you take everything about the Civil War and put it in a dark corner, then you've lost a piece of America's history.
I don't see a reason for the movement. It's been here forever. So I think it's a part of Old Town.
She's grown very accustomed to seeing the statue and using it as a landmark, and they didn't want to see it moved.
Start by telling people the topic.
George Mason University history professor Spencer Crew is teaching a course on slavery, abolition, and the Underground Railroad.
If you're talking about the Confederacy, if you're talking about that way of life, you're talking about slavery.
He says it's wrong to use public places to honor those who fought for that way of life.
Those symbols are of oppression and hatred and bigotry. That's what I see when I see them.
Student Tom Riddle lived in Latvia for 4 years.
There are no remnants of the Soviet occupation left. All those statues of Lenin and Stalin, all those things are gone, and there's a reason why.
The comparison is apples to oranges. Stalin killed Latvians. He waged a war against his own people in Russia. He was a dictator. Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis were neither.
Some argue instead of taking down statues, communities should add monuments for black leaders to tell a more complete story.
And let the people have their choice of or their knowledge of the history that makes this country the country that it is.
The man known as the Great Emancipator would not be pinned down on this one.
We're all friends now, and if some folks want to honor their ancestors, I say that's fine, but if other folks living in that same state think it might be an insult to them, well, they should talk it out. They should talk it out and come to that decision themselves. I'm going to stay out of that.